Did you know the cholesterol in your food is not what's clogging your arteries? The real driver of arterial plaque is something almost no cardiologist has time to explain in a 15-minute appointment. The fastest way to start reversing arterial plaque is not a statin, not a procedure, and not cutting every gram of fat out of your diet. It's adding specific foods that do the one job those drugs were never designed to do. Calm the inflammation underneath the plaque and repair the lining of your arteries. I've watched patients in their 50s, 60s, and 70s come back with follow-up scans showing measurably less arterial stiffness and inflammatory markers dropping toward normal, not from a new prescription, but from what was on their plate. In this video, I'm going to show you the 10 most powerful foods for arterial health, exactly how each one works at the cellular level, and precisely how to use it. Most people who are told their arteries are narrowing get the same explanation. Too much fat, too much cholesterol, take the statin, hope the numbers improve. But after 10 years in interventional cardiology, watching what actually happens inside human arteries, on the table and on the scan, I've come to understand something that contradicts that explanation almost entirely. My name is Dr. Wells. Here's what almost no one explains in a standard appointment. Plaque doesn't build up because you ate too much butter. It builds up because the inner lining of your artery, a one-cell thick wall called the endothelium, becomes damaged and chronically inflamed. Once inflamed, LDL cholesterol doesn't just float through. It gets inside the wall, oxidizes, and converts into foam cells. Your immune system rushes in trying to fix it, and in doing so makes the plaque thicker with every passing year. Cholesterol isn't the arsonist. Inflammation is. And the trajectory of arterial plaque isn't fixed the moment it shows up on a scan. Every food on this list does one of three jobs: protects the endothelium, neutralizes oxidized LDL before it embeds, or directly helps reverse damage already there. I'll walk you through all 10, the mechanism behind each, the studies, and exactly how to prepare them. You don't need all 10 starting tomorrow. Add them in over 2 weeks and let them stack. Quick favor before we start. If you want more videos explaining what's actually happening inside your cardiovascular system, hit subscribe ad. It costs nothing and helps this content reach people who need it. Salmon, mackerel, sardines. The EPA and DHA in cold water fish incorporate directly into endothelial cell membranes, suppressing the inflammatory messengers that recruit immune cells into the arterial wall and trigger plaque deposition. They also lower triglycerides, an underappreciated driver of arterial disease. The PREDIM trial, one of the largest cardiovascular nutrition studies ever conducted, found populations eating fatty fish and Mediterranean-style foods regularly had dramatically lower rates of major cardiovascular events than those on a standard low-fat diet. How to use it: 2 to 3 servings a week, palm-sized on non-consecutive days. Canned wild salmon and sardines work just as well and are cheap. Bake or grill, never deep fry. Caution: if you're on blood thinners, high-dose fish oil can have an additive effect. Check with your doctor. Extra virgin isn't marketing. It's the line between medicine and cooking grease. Cold-pressed olive oil retains oleocanthal, which blocks the same inflammatory enzyme, COX, that ibuprofen blocks. Used daily, it's a continuous low-dose anti-inflammatory delivered straight to your arterial lining. It also contains oleuropein, which prevents LDL from oxidizing in the first place. The PREDIM trial found a 30% reduced risk of major cardiovascular events in daily EVOO, consumers versus controls. How to use it: 2 to 4 tablespoons daily, drizzled over food or used for low to medium heat cooking. Skip refined or light olive oil. Check for a harvest date within 18 months. Without one, assume it's oxidized. Don't skip this because it seems ordinary. Crushing raw garlic triggers a reaction that creates allicin, which inhibits HMG-CoA reductase, the exact enzyme your statin targets. It's a natural partial statin without the muscle side effects, and it also reduces LDL oxidation and relaxes arterial smooth muscle, lowering blood pressure. Research in the Journal of Nutrition found aged garlic extract measurably reduced coronary artery calcium scores, a direct measure of calcified plaque. How to use it: crush or chop and let it sit 10 full minutes before heat touches it. That's the window Alyssa needs to form. 1 to 2 cloves daily. If raw garlic upsets your stomach, aged garlic extract capsules have equivalent evidence. The strongest direct evidence for actual plaque reversal of anything on this list. A trial in clinical nutrition followed patients with carotid artery stenosis for a year. The control group's plaque grew 9%. The pomegranate group's plaque shrank by 30% each, a measurable reversal from a fruit. Blood pressure and oxidized LDL dropped too. How to use it: half a cup of 100% pure pomegranate juice daily, no added sugar, or the seeds of 1 whole pomegranate. Caution: interacts with some blood pressure and cholesterol medications. The strongest direct evidence for actual plaque reversal of anything on this list. A trial in clinical nutrition followed patients with carotid artery stenosis for a year. The control group's plaque grew 9%. The pomegranate group's plaque shrank by 30%, a measurable reversal from a fruit. Blood pressure and oxidized LDL dropped too. How to use it: half a cup of 100% pure pomegranate juice daily, no added sugar, or the seeds of 1 whole pomegranate. Caution: interacts with some blood pressure and cholesterol medications. Spinach, kale, arugula, rich in dietary nitrates, which your body converts into nitric oxide, the primary signal that tells arteries to relax and dilate. As nitric oxide production drops with age, arteries stiffen and plaque builds faster. Multiple analyses link regular nitrate-rich vegetable intake to significantly lower blood pressure and better arterial flexibility. How to use it: 1 to 2 cups daily, raw or wilted. Combine with the olive oil and garlic from earlier for a 5-minute anti-inflammatory base. Caution: if you're on warfarin, talk to your doctor. Vitamin K content interacts with dosing. The only tree nut with meaningful ALA omega-3 plus L-arginine, the raw material your endothelial cells use to manufacture nitric oxide. A Penn State trial found daily walnut consumption significantly improved endothelial function via flow-mediated dilation, the closest clinical proxy for arterial flexibility. How to use it: a small handful, about a quarter cup, raw or dry roasted daily. If they taste even slightly bitter, they're rancid. The omega-3s have oxidized. Buy refrigerated. Curcumin, turmeric's active compound, blocks NF-kappa B, the master switch that triggers the inflammatory cascade, damaging the endothelium and oxidizing LDL. Research in nutrition. Research found curcumin supplementation improved endothelial function comparably to exercise training alone. The catch: curcumin alone is poorly absorbed. Black pepper's piperine increases absorption by up to 2,000%. How to use it: half a teaspoon of turmeric with a generous pinch of black pepper, daily, cooked into vegetables or stirred into a smoothie. For a therapeutic dose, kitchen turmeric alone won't get you there. Look for a piperine standardized or phospholipid-bound supplement. Blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, loaded with anthocyanins that reduce LDL oxidation, lower CRP, and reduce arterial stiffness. Data from the Nurses' Health Study found people eating berries 3 or more times weekly had a 34% lower risk of heart attack than those eating them once a month. How to use it: 1 cup of fresh or frozen daily. Frozen is equally effective and often higher in anthocyanins. Avoid sweetened versions. Added sugar cancels the benefit. 3 benefits in 1 tablespoon. ALA omega-3s reduce inflammation, lignans block LDL oxidation, and soluble fiber pulls cholesterol out of your bloodstream via your liver's bile acid pathway. A meta-analysis of multiple RCTs found flaxseed significantly reduced total and LDL cholesterol and systolic blood pressure, with the strongest effects in highest-risk people. How to use it? Ground only, not whole. Whole flaxseed passes through almost undigested, 1 to 2 tablespoons daily blended into a smoothie. Buy refrigerated, cold milled. It oxidizes quickly once ground. 70% cacao or higher soft. Below that, sugar overtakes the benefit. Cocoa flavanols activate eNOS, the enzyme your endothelial cells use to produce nitric oxide. A BMJ meta-analysis of over 100,000 participants found the highest chocolate consumers had a 37% lower rate of cardiovascular disease and 29% lower rate of stroke than the lowest consumers. How to use it? 1 to 2 squares, 20 to 30 grams, daily after a meal. Avoid Dutch processed cocoa. It destroys most of the flavonols. A patient I'll call David, 58, former smoker, came to me after a scan showed significant narrowing in 2 coronary arteries. His cardiologist had already started a high-dose statin and mentioned a procedure within the year. His father had died of a heart attack at 61, and he couldn't stop measuring himself against that number. We didn't touch his medication. We added fatty fish twice a week, olive oil daily, garlic in his cooking, pomegranate juice with lunch, leafy greens with walnuts, a berry flaxseed smoothie each morning, and turmeric with black pepper stirred into his vegetables. Within 3 months, his CRP had dropped over 40%. His doctor was able to reduce one of his medications. At 6 months, his arterial stiffness score had measurably improved. He didn't need the procedure that year. And 2 years later, still hasn't. He didn't eat less. He ate better, consistently. His own body did the repair work it was always designed to do.